guys, I'm ChezPride, and before I buy The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature and play with real fairies in The Sims 4 for the first time, I wanted to make one last Creative Sims videos where we go back and make fake fairies like we used to in The Sims 4, because after I buy the pack, I will probably never do this again. And also towards the end, I want to talk about the last two, quote, emergency patches to come out within the last week. So stick around to the end for that. And yes, I know The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature has been out for almost a week now, but honestly, I've just kind of been a little bit tight on money, so I haven't actually had the funds to buy it yet. But I plan on buying it after I record the final part of me playing through The Sims 4 free base game event, The Sims 4 Nature is Calling event, because that's really all I have on my checklist for myself before I'll let myself buy the pack now that I've come up with the money and finished out all of my business and hobby reviews. So expect to see some Enchanted by Nature stuff here in the near future. So before we jump into talking about the most recent patches, I figured we could do something fun to start the video off with. And to do that, I figured we could make some fake fairies one more time, just like we have been in the game for years. Basically, a long time ago, like when stuff packs first started being a thing, we got the Spooky Day stuff pack, which is basically a cutesy Halloween stuff pack. And in that stuff pack came with a bunch of costumes, including this fairy costume that includes all the accessories and makeup that this sim is wearing. And since then, Simmers have been using this costume with some of these accessories to make quote-unquote fairies, hoping that one day we would get real ones. And even I have done this, and I even tend to mix this costume and put it on other occults, trying to make fairies that are more magical. So in this video, I want to do just that once more and kind of just show you guys how, to this point before we had real fairies, how we made fairies. So if this is somehow your first time seeing this outfit, at first glance, you may be thinking, oh, this is like a whole outfit setup. You have the dress and like an arm accessory, and it has attachable wings and shoes and tights that match, and it even has fancy makeup. No. In reality, most of these objects are actually attached to the dress. So like the arm piece and, sadly, the fairy wings are attached to the dress. The tights, the shoes, and the makeup are separate, but they also come with the pack. The tights match the dress perfectly, and then the shoes are kind of meant to be able to go with the fairy costume and other costumes. But it was kind of a whole thing when the pack came out and the dress had the wings attached. It was just kind of a big disappointment, because if they had made it to where the wings were an accessory instead of attached to an outfit, and granted, they're doing the same thing in Enchanted by Nature with the kid outfits, the wings are attached to the outfit. But I'm just saying, if they made detachable wings for both before the pack came out for adults and for the kids in Enchanted by Nature, it would be a game changer, because you could add it to different costumes or just like regular outfits, and it would just be so much better. But we have to also remember this is one of the first stuff packs that came out, so we are very much dating ourselves when looking back on this. So if you've never seen this, basically, like I said, it comes as the dress, the wings, and a little arm piece here. But it does actually come in a decent amount of colors. It comes in 11 colors. So the first color is this base blue. And then we have a darker blue. We have a red. We have like a pink and beige. We have like a Tinkerbell green. We have the one she was wearing. We have this midnight blue. We have this fiery looking one. We have this like teal one. We have this pastel purple one. And we have this like black and green one. So it does come in a good amount of colors. And actually, the tights go along with it quite well. We can actually take off the shoes and look at it. So these are the tights that came with it, or I guess they're leggings technically in the game. But they're really cute. I don't use them that much. Most of the time when I use the fairy costume, I don't really use these tights, but I still think they're cute. And they come in all the matching colors, not in the same spots, but they come in all the matching colors that this comes in. And then, like I said, they come with shoes. The shoes aren't necessarily just for fairies. I mean, they're obviously meant for fairies with the little twirl there. But, like I said, all the colors don't match every single costume as if it's meant to go with the costume. It just kind of fits most of the colors. And it also goes with the other colors in the other costumes, like the pirate costume and whatnot. Even though it comes with pirate shoes, these shoes also match the pirate costume. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. And then, of course, we have the makeup that came with it, which is honestly, out of all the costume makeup that came with this pack, I think this one was my favorite. It's technically under face paint. So you would think it would be under eyeshadow, but it's actually under face paint. We also got in this pack like skeleton makeup and stuff like that. But the fairy makeup I think is really cute. I use the skeleton makeup more actually, but the fairy makeup is so cute. It comes in a lot of the colors, not every single color, but it comes in the blue, it comes in the darker blue, the green, the yellow with all like the fall colors, pink, purple, black with like bluish purple, the fire colors, and the teal colors. So that's kind of what we're working with to create fairy looks, but this is just a sample fairy. I went ahead and put her on the gallery if you want to download her, but I've actually made 3 different quote-unquote fairies that I've went ahead and assigned the dress color, and then we're going to give them a makeover based off what type of occult or regular sim they are and the dress color I have picked out for them. I'm going to kind of show you how over time we have makeshift fairies. So there's actually a couple of different ways that simmers have used this costume to fudge fairies. And basically, the more different types of occults we gotten over the years, the easier it has been to fake a fairy. But it's still obvious that it's not fairies, especially now that we have real fairies. I doubt, unless they just can't afford Enchanted by Nature and already have Spooky Day stuff pack, I doubt people will be using this to make fairies very much anymore. But there was ways to do it in the past. Now, obviously, the most obvious plain way would just to be to do it like I have here and take a regular sim and put them in the fairy costume and then just like dress them up as fairy-esque as you can get with the base game and whatever pack you have to go along with the Spooky Day stuff pack. But when we first got the Spooky Day stuff pack, that was kind of hard to do and make it look realistic. I mean, one, this was back when only aliens were a cult. Or ults, like that was the only kind of cult we got were aliens. So we actually didn't have any crazy skin tones for regular sims. We actually didn't have near this many skin tones in general. So we didn't even have like just the cool white skin tone to pretend they were like a super pale fairy. But obviously we didn't have like the blue, the green, the red, you know, all the alien colors. We didn't have the white, the gray, the black, and whatnot on the crazy colors for regular sims. And still, this is not a lot of skin tone colors, especially now that we have Enchanted by Nature. But it's more than we had when it first came out. But also, up until recently, we didn't have pointed ears with regular sims. We do now because we got it in the update before Enchanted by Nature came out. But basically, up until recently, we only had these last 3 ear options for regular sims. Now we have all the pointed ear options, which is great, because it makes it easier to make regular Sims fake fairies, or just as me, like to put pointy ears on just Sims in general. But we didn't have that till recently. So I'm going to make this Sim be a regular Sim with the green fairy costume. And that's going to be the first way we make a Sim, because I do want to try doing it now that we have pointy ears. But I'm just saying it's not as easy as it could be. And it's definitely easier now than it was when it first came out. But speaking of, like I said, when we first got the pack, the only occult we had were aliens. Now, I'm not going to make an alien fairy in this video just because it's been done a million times. And it's actually super simple. There's not much to it because aliens aren't super customizable. They were the first occult Sim that we got. But the reason that we liked using them for fairies is because, one, you have all of the alien skin tones. So you have, your blues and your purples and your whites and your greens. And then you also had the ears, and because aliens were the first one to come with pointed ears. As you can see, they're literally pretty much just the same as the ears we have in the base game now, just made for aliens. And the major downfall of this, though, was the eyes. Because before now, where we have all the eyes updates for pretty much any type of Sim, including a regular Sim, you only had these eyes. And all of these obviously look very creepy, which if you're going for a certain vibe for the alien, totally works, or for the alien fairy. But if you didn't want the fairy to look like an alien, you're kind of out of luck because you only have these eyes. Now, you can't put hair on this Sim, at least. And then also, people could, once plant Sims came out, like turn their Sim into a plant Sim in game and then put them in the fairy costume. It would give them the green skin and kind of be like this and be like a fake green plant fairy. But you can't, even with the Enchanted by Nature update to plant Sims, you cannot create a plant Sim and create a Sim. So that would be kind of hard to do in this video. So I'm not going to do aliens or plant Sims. But there were two other ways that you can kind of fake a fairy and then be more magical than just putting them in a regular fairy outfit. And the first one was vampires. Now, I personally feel like this is more for like your evil fairy, which is why I've kind of chosen the fire looking fairy costume for us to make this Sim out of. But we are going to make a vampire fairy, and basically this was the first magical type of occult we got, so it's the first one that had magic powers, so it only made sense that we put fairies with it. But it was also the first time that we had ears outside of alien form, and the first time that we got more like skin tones that were really customizable. Where are the freaking skin? Where? I just want the skin tones. Can you not get to them for face now? I don't know. Anyways, so this is kind of when we start getting more skin tones. This is kind of when we got like the scale, the black to white scale and stuff like that. Now, obviously, we didn't get like pastel purple or anything like that, but we got more skin tones with vampires, and they've made it to where every Sim can get those skin tones down. But back in the day, there were certain skin tones you could only get with vampires, as well as eyes. There were certain eyes that you could only get in your vampire form. And when we got the ears in the base game, they made it to where all the occult eyes were accessible for all Sims. So really, realistically, there's no reason to make a fairy a vampire now, unless you're just wanting the teeth from the vampires and the power from the vampires. That's really the only way you would do it. But back in the day, this was a big way to make fairies. But then we got it stepped up, and the last fairy we're going to make is going to be our spellcaster fairy. So spellcasters, kind of the same deal here, where we got more skin tones with spellcasters. So with spellcasters, we kind of got like basically the same crazy skin tones that all the Sims have now, but we also got like the alien type skin tones with the purples and the blues and the greens. So you could have those skin tones while having actual magical powers. You know what I mean? Because, with spellcasters, obviously you have different power abilities that you can learn, and you can conjure up spells and have magic fights. So this is like the closest gameplay wise we had to fairies, and it also came with skin tones as well as pointy ears and eyes as well. Spellcasters didn't come with a lot of crazy eyes, but they came with a couple eyes. And so they didn't come with like, I guess they came with like the same stuff that vampires came with, just in different colors and forms and a little less of it, but the magical abilities and gameplay were the most like fairies. So after spellcasters came out, that's pretty much what people used to create fairies. I feel like the most was probably spellcasters. So today, what I want to do in this video is I'm going to delete this fairy. And we are going to create a regular sim with pointy ears and stuff that we have access to now since the most recent update. And then just to kind of honor the way that we have in the past, I'm going to make a more evil fairy from a vampire point of view, and a more good type of fairy with the spellcaster. And then I think my regular sim is going to be like a garden fairy, I guess, is kind of what I was going for. I don't know. That's kind of what I'm feeling here. So let's go ahead and jump into creating these sims. So I will give these quote-unquote fairies proper names once I actually create them, just because I typically give my sims names after I actually make them. But I have went ahead and given them aspirations and traits based off of what type of sim they are, as well as what color I made their outfit. Now, obviously, this is not an occult sim. This is just our regular sim. And we have put her in the green dress because in honor of Enchanted by Nature also being a nature pack as well as a fairy pack, I felt like green was very proper for like a nature themed fairy or quote unquote fairy. So I have given her the freelance botanist aspiration. She loves the outdoors, she is good, and she is a vegetarian, and she likes the color green. So since the other two sims are cults and have more options for crazy skin tones, I'm probably going to focus more on giving actual crazy skin tones to these sims and just kind of go with a more basic skin tone for this sim. Now I could go full out plant and do like green skin, but I've been doing plant sims recently, so I'm thinking maybe we do green hair and we could do like a yellowy skin tone, like almost like early base game yellowy skin tone, like maybe like this. Like, maybe even more yellowy. Since it's a fairy, we could go like this. This is, like, kind of, like, Fluttershy yellow vibes almost. I don't know. I like it. And then we can give her green hair. And it kind of goes with it. Now, obviously, depending on the hair we choose will be... Because the green's kind of weird. So, depending on the hair we choose, it'll be more green. Like, this one's a darker green. Mm-hmm. I don't hate the idea of her having an updo. I know that's totally, like, kind of stealing Tinkerbell vibes, but I don't hate it. Maybe something cuter than just a simple bun, though. Since we're trying to go, like, nature-y, I wouldn't hate, like, half up, half down. Ooh, actually this from the Life and Death pack, kind of perfect colors to go with this. Okay. So let's give her more fairy-esque eyes. Now, obviously, we have more options with the eye colors now. We could do the cat eye, which I like for the reason that they are the correct color to match the dress. But I don't know if I love the slanted cat pupil for the cute fairy-esque look I'm kind of imagining in my head. So I'm kind of thinking we actually now, with the recent update, have access to the mermaid eyes with regular Sims. And I don't think people ever really use mermaids to create fairies. That would be slightly pointless. But these eyes, like, granted they aren't green, they're more teal. But imagine this color eye with, like, the huge pupil and whatnot, like, on a bigger eye shape. Like, ooh, even, like, this cutesy eye shape. Okay, hold on. What if we, like, opened up this eye? I think bringing it in a little bit might help. But we could, like, make it a cutesy shaped eye. Like, make the eyes themselves a little bigger. I think they need to be bigger on the... Well, that kind of gets fairy vibes. Them being like that. But let's scoot in a little bit. Yeah, we can scoot in like that. And then we can make the nose, like, really tiny and dainty. I think that's really cute. The lips I don't want to mess with too much. Honestly, they're kind of cute. Maybe just make the bottom lip or the top lip a little bit smaller. And then maybe scoot in the cheeks a little bit. Yeah, I think that gives fairy vibes. And then we gotta do, like, a cute eyebrow. Now, do we want to do... I kind of like the idea of a faded eyebrow. Almost like this. And we can, like, bring them down a little bit. And then, obviously, we're going to do makeup. But before we do makeup, I want to do teeth and ears. Now, these pointed ears, I don't know why for a second they weren't showing up. It's like the hair was, like, glitching them out or something. But these are our options for pointy ears. So this is what we have to work with. And honestly, I'm thinking this one is probably the cutest. Obviously, we can shape them and make them a little bit bigger so they stand out a little bit more. I think that's cute. All right. And then go ahead and let's do some teeth. So, again, and with the most recent update, we've been able to get access to some more of the teeth. So now we have, like, the vampire teeth. We don't have all the teeth. We do have mermaid teeth, though. I do think that's more appropriate for maybe not this sim. But I kind of like the idea of this sim maybe having either... Or I was thinking the buck teeth, or not buck teeth. I always call them buck teeth. The tooth space, but I'm thinking like maybe the dentures just to make her teeth super white. I know it's weird, but I kind of like it. And then the vampire, we can get more like scary teeth. I think that would be fun. All right, so let's give this sim some makeup real quick. Obviously, the first thing I'm doing is eyelashes because this girl, oh my goodness, could use some eyelashes. And we can even use like the green ones since they gave the base game eyelashes like swatch colors now. We use the green ones. Now, we do have the fun fairy makeup, and I think we're going to use that for this sim. I don't think we'll use it for the rest of the sims. We could also give this sim like, maybe I'll save that for like the blue skin sim. I do like that for a fairy. But I'm thinking, since we're using this video to show off the Spooky Day Halloween costume, let's use the Spooky Day Halloween costume makeup. Now, I'm just making sure I have the color. I'm assuming, yeah, really the only color that would go good with this costume is the green one. I tried the black, but it doesn't look as good. There's not like a white swatch or anything. So we can give her this. And then we're going to give her some crazy lips. And maybe, let's see, how does the spellcaster lips look? Yeah, I think I like that. And then I will go with my normal routine of giving some of the MAC makeup. Let's see, I want to go very, very pale and yellowy-ish pink. I think this has yellow and pink in it good. Because I want her cheeks to be very rosy. Or do we want to tone it down maybe tone it down just slightly. And then she already has that on, so we can't give her like the glowy makeup. But also in the update before Enchanted by Nature, we got a new accessory category in body accessories. And it's skin effect. And it's where you can give your sim shiny skin. Now, it's a little hard to see on this pale sim, but as you can see, her skin is now shinier than it was. And since we're giving her the fairy face paint makeup, I think I'm going to give her this. I don't know how much I will actually use this on sims, especially sims that aren't fairies, but it is a nice little detail to have. In my opinion, it makes the skin look sweaty, and I'm not a fan, but I'm going to try it out because, we should try it out at least once. So I'm going to go ahead and give this makeup to her in all her categories. So we just did lashes. That I don't think we even did eyeliner. We did do cheek and lips. So that's what we're going to go with for our fairy makeup. Now, since the shiny skin tone is an accessory, we do have to go through and put it on every outfit, which is a little annoying, but it will make do. I guess this sim would probably have nails, and honestly, I think these nails are perfect. So I'm going to give her these nails for all her categories, and honestly, I think we're just going to dress her the same in every outfit category. I'm not going to go through and give these sims every day, every formal, a hot weather. I think we're literally just going to do the exact same outfit for every single outfit, just because we have 3 sims to do, and I still want to go over the patch notes. So since we're kind of trying to show off what came with this look, I'm thinking maybe, let's see if, I don't think any of these shoes are, like, the swatches in these shoes are really going to go with these outfits. I mean, obviously the green was kind of meant to go with it, but it's just like, I don't think this is the vibe. But we do have pirate boots that come in all white. We also have these boots that come in all white. But maybe the idea of what we could do is use the other shoes that came with the Spooky Day Stuff Pack. They're supposed to be like Roman shoes, but they come in like the perfect like pale color, and they kind of give like fairy vibes being sandals and whatnot. Now, it doesn't exactly go with the tights, but I think I'm going to give the tights to another sim. But I do want to give her maybe a bracelet to go with like this arm piece. So if we find a bracelet on this side that could go with that. I mean, there's the wedding day stuff. That is a look. That is a look. I don't know if it's the look. We also have this from Businesses and Hobbies, but that doesn't really come in fairy colors. We have the little green island bracelet. I kind of like that. We also have this, which is kind of fun. I like that. I think it's in my head between this and this. But since we're specifically going for nature vibes, I'm thinking the little bracelet from Island Living. And then let's go ahead and I guess we should put those accessories on every outfit. So let's go ahead and go to bracelets and do every outfit. And her nails, make sure we did every outfit. And then let's do her shoes in every outfit. And I think really just to tie this sim off, I'm going to finish it off with a necklace. So let's find a green necklace that works. Now, Spooky Day stuff did come with a skull necklace and a spider necklace. But I don't know, that's the vibe here. Maybe this. Does this come in green? Comes in white. Let's see. Ooh, this is kind of fun. I don't know if this is that right vibe. Maybe I should filter by green. Let me just see if I filter by green what we have. We have the vampire necklace, which is kind of a vibe. But I'm trying to go with like kind of lights. Not that. Not that. Okay. There's the seashell vibe. That's fun. Maybe this. I think this is the right vibe. We also have the heart necklace, which is super cute, but this is like the right green color. Like, that's pretty spot on. So we'll give that for her, all of her outfits. So there we go. So this is what we are able to come up with a fairy without having any actual occults involved. So this is not necessarily base game, but non-occult fairy. And honestly, I definitely couldn't have done this without packs, but I also definitely couldn't have done this without the most recent update. Without the most recent update, we wouldn't have had this shiny skin, we wouldn't have had the eye color, we wouldn't have had the pointy ears. It just, thankfully we had that update before the Enchanted by Nature pack came out, and it is way easier now. I can say, though, it used to be a lot harder to do it without occults. But let's go ahead and give this fairy a name. I'm just going to kind of shuffle through names so I find one I think works well for her. Let's see. What is a good fairy name that's like a earthy fairy? Edith? No. Casey? Emila? I actually kind of like that. Emila Fairy. I'm just going to name them all with the last name Fairy. So this is our base, not to be confused with base game, but base non-occult green fudged fairy that we made with the fairy costume. And like I said, her name is Emila. So now let's move on to our vampire fairy. So she's going to be our more evil-esque dark fairy type, since she is the vampire type. So she has the aspiration of being the seeker of secrets, and she is evil, she is a loner, and she is romantic, and she likes red, orange, and black because that is the color of her dress. So let's go ahead and start with some new skin tone. Now, she also doesn't have a lot of crazy skin tones, but she does have these few down here. We could go with super dark. We also could go with red, which I don't do a lot, so that is an interesting idea. I kind of like the way it pops on the black skin, but the black skin is almost not black enough. Like, I want like a pitch black skin, and that's just not something we really have. Like, even this is supposed to be pitch black, and it's just not. So maybe let's go with the red skin, and we could go with like black hair, and we could do something fun though. Like, what if we looked at the vampire hairs? Since we're using the vampire pack anyways, we might as well see what our options in vampires would be. Because we have this. We also, don't we have, yeah, we have like the red roses, but that's not very, I don't know. Maybe this. This has red roses as well as has that back piece. I don't know, I kind of like that. So we could go with that. And then we also have to give her some scary teeth because she's going to be a scary vampire or fairy. But honestly, we have the vampire teeth, but I kind of want to use the mermaid teeth. Those just kind of scream scary fairy to me. Scary fairy. Scary fairy. Also, let's go ahead and do these eyes. I kind of want to do these red vampire eyes. Like, I think these are the vibe. let's go ahead and do her eyebrows too, because I don't know if I love these eyebrows. Let's see, what eyebrows do we want to give her though? I'm thinking like very defined eyebrows. I don't hate those, but I'm not the biggest fan of the eye shape itself. I mean, those do look kind of scary, honestly. Like, what if we just... I don't hate the idea of making these a little bit bigger. I want to kind of like separate them a little bit more. Like, they're a little almost too close together. Like, I want to just like grab them, move them this way. Oh my god, maybe putting them closer together was a little bit scarier. I don't know. But I can just like imagine this eye shape. Hold on, I know I haven't finished doing the face yet. I'm jumping into makeup. But like imagine this with like this makeup, or where's the makeup? Is it this makeup I'm thinking about? It's this makeup. Yeah, imagine this with like this eyeliner. That's kind of amazing with like these eyelashes. Or even we could go with the colored eyelashes. I don't know, I kind of like just the regular Love Struck lashes. And then we could do that for her eye makeup. We might go back in and add eyeshadow. But I'm kind of thinking maybe we bring in the jaw a little bit. Make it like a pointier chin. I wouldn't mind making the chin smaller, but pointier. And then what if we went with like a pointy nose? Like just to kind of bring in slight evil vibes. I don't know. I feel like that looks slightly more evil. There we go. And then honestly, the lips I feel like need to be different. I just don't know what about them needs to be different. I don't know if they need to be bigger or smaller. I'm just not feeling them. Let's see. Those are kind of cute, like the puckered lips. Yeah, so far the puckered lips are really the only ones I'm liking. But I don't know if I want to go with like a smiling lip. I think like there's the frown lip. I'm thinking maybe these and we move them up. Like we can move them up and then we can like make them kind of like poutier. Yeah, I like that. And what if let's go into makeup here and go to lips. We could do like the grunge lips because they have like they have a couple of reds actually. I only like this reddish black almost. So we could do that because that kind of makes the lips look even smaller and poutier. And then we could do some like crazy cheeks. Like what if we did the crazy like makeup? What's this freaking... It came with the Get to Work pack. I just don't know if I want to almost be darker than that. A darker crease. And none of the darker ones are the color I want. I was thinking it was going to look so good with this too. We also have this stuff, but that doesn't really help. There's not a lot of like black options. I mean, there's this. And that gives kind of like lava vibes, so I don't hate that actually. I think that was supposed to be meant for aliens, but it kind of works for our case here. Let's see. I'm almost wondering... Okay, well, doing the hue doesn't help. I was hoping maybe doing that would... the brightness is what I want. Yeah, I want to like turn the brightness down so it's darker. So we could do that. Okay, that's actually kind of cool. Let's go back into makeup though and do some eyeshadow so it's not completely just off. Let's see. We have we have the vampire makeup, which is a look. It does go with the eyeshadow. It almost covers the eyeshadow, though, which I don't love. Oh my goodness. What if we did it in white? Wait, why do I not hate that? No, I hate that. I shouldn't do that. The yellow goes with the gold. I don't hate that when I should, but I don't. So I'm thinking this is probably what we're going to go with. And honestly, let's go with the Love Struck shininess instead of the base game shininess. Because I'm thinking this or even this. Yeah, kind of like this. This kind of adds like some orange tones. And she's supposed to be going like fire colors. So I think this looks really good. So we're going to go with this for her makeup. And like I said, we're going to go through and apply everything to all of the categories. Bam, boom, bam. Thank you, ma'am. And really, I think she needs better ears. Like, bigger ears. Like, let's go with, like, the biggest ear. Ooh, I kind of like the idea of them being back ears, though. Kind of like that. And we can make them go up a little bit. But I really like... Ooh, not like that. I really like the idea of them being folded back and slightly pointed out. Kind of demon-y looking. Oh, maybe that's a little too demon-y looking. Maybe like that. And shrink it a little bit more to the side. Let's see. How does that look from front? Yeah, I kind of like that. But I feel like she needs, like, earrings. If she's going to do that. So let's see what we have earring-wise. Let's see, we have this, I'm trying to think big and gaudy, like maybe like this. I also like this, but this is more like goth, which I kind of like for her. We also just have the earplugs, but what fun is that? We could also go with this. This has like a red and gold swatch. I thought that was red and gold. It says it's red and gold, but I don't think it is. Let's see. We also have that. I don't know. I'm thinking like the big black circles were probably our best option. So let's go back to those. If I can find them again. There they are. So we go to those. This also come in red, but I kind of like the black. So let's go with black. And then we'll go with a necklace. Honestly, we're going with the vampire look here. Let's go ahead and just give her the vampire necklace. It kind of fits perfectly with the color match. Let's see. Do we want to give her a face piercing? I could totally see her rocking a little spectrum piercing. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so let's give her piercings in all her outfits. Let's give her her necklace in all her outfits. And then really all that's left with this sim is the accessories. So we could also, let's see, since we have the makeup, what if we did some kind of, I don't know, is there some kind of skin detail that, okay, I don't want to layer skin details on top of each other. I was trying to think of some kind of skin detail that might, like, yeah, because maybe something like that kind of blends in a little bit, like to make her, I almost want to make her look like she's burnt. I know that's not what the skin detail is for. It is actually a skin detail that is is from real life effects, but I kind of like the idea of her having like the red burnt looking skin tone and the dark freckles to kind of give like she just crawled out of the pits of hell. I don't know. I know that probably sounds bad, but doesn't that look kind of cool? With that makeup, I think it looks really cool. And then we can give her the tights that come with the pack. Now, this pack comes with a lot of tights, but these specifically are the ones that are meant to go with this outfit. And I kind of like them with this outfit, so we'll give her those. But since we're using the vampire pack, I wouldn't hate the idea of using the vampire gloves, these. And we could put them in like red. Yeah, that's almost perfect. Okay, yeah, let's go with these. So let's put, I know I have overused these over the years, but they're so good. They're so good. And then fingernails. Let's see. Maybe we go with the life and death ones. Yeah, that's really good. Okay, so we'll do her fingernails, her bracelets. Do we want anything else on this sim? Besides shoes. I mean, obviously we need the shoes, but maybe we could go. We have these gold rings and these. So we could do these on both hands in the gold swatch. Like this. Should we go with the darker gold? I think almost the darker gold is better. So let's go with that. Okay. I think that's pretty good. And then we'll just wrap it up by giving her the fairy boots. We want to go into red or the black? I think the black is more the vibe. Alright. So this is our evil vampire fairy. Honestly, I'm kind of obsessed with her. I didn't think she would turn out that good. I'm kind of obsessed. Okay, so let's give her a name. Let's see. What name fits Sylvia? Ashley, Bobby, Kira, Nyla. Nyla was the name of the alien fairy earlier. So maybe we won't go with that. Oh my, I just keep getting Emma versions. Like, this is Emma. We just got Emma, but maybe we shouldn't go with all M names. Let's see. Athena. I like Athena. Alright, so this is Athena, our evil vampire fire colored fairy. And then we have our base green fairy. So now we can make our bluish purple themed spellcaster fairy. So obviously with the red vampire fairy, giving her the evil trait and the way I dressed her, I was trying to channel evil fairy vibes, and kind of the same with the green fairy, but good. She literally had the good trait and she looked very friendly, and like you could go up to her and easily ask for fairy dust. And this fairy here is going to be a good fairy, definitely not going to be an evil fairy, but I wouldn't really think she would go down a good or evil path. I think she would be a work hard, play hard. Like, she would work hard and get all her work done and be very creative and friendly towards others, but then she'd also go out on a social event and like dance her butt off. So for her aspiration, I gave her the spellcast and sorcery to kind of show that she's serious about her studies. Same reason I gave her the overachiever trait. But then I also gave her the creative and dance machine trait. So she's kind of just like I said, a work hard, play hard type of gal. And she likes blue, purples, and grays. So that's what we're going with for her. So with this sim, we have a bit more of choices when it comes to skin tones, because we have the spellcaster skin tones. So we have this skin tone, which I'm actually kind of digging. We have the purple, we have the light purple, we have the light blue, the super light blue, the teal, the dark teal, and the greens. I'm kind of feeling either this dark blue or this. I'm kind of thinking this. I also kind of like this. And then, let's see, what do we want for her eyes? Now, we have pretty much all the eyes accessible. This is kind of a cute fairy eye. Not like this shape, but this color. Okay, I don't mind that. Let's go ahead and get the shape, though, because I want there to be a cute shape, but not like cute in the way the other ones were. This is kind of nice. I kind of like this. I wouldn't mind it being a little bigger, and maybe the pupils even being a little bigger. Maybe we have to go into full edit mode to do that. Yeah, so we could do that. We could lift the hood up just a little bit. I like the bottoms being slightly up a little bit, but the like top being way up there. And that's slightly scary looking, but in a fairy-esque way. And then we don't have a lot of crazy colors for hair, unfortunately, but we could, let's see, do we want to go with like a blue or green, or do we want to go with like a gray? She does like the color gray. I'm almost thinking the white, like the super whitish gray. Hold on, let me see how I feel about that if we give her a different... Well, hold on, let me take off her hair real quick, and let's focus on her eyebrows first. Because we could give her... I almost don't hate this as her eyebrows. We gotta change the ears, though. I feel like she would have cuter ears. Maybe like these ears, I think would be cute for her. And then a smaller mouth. I think this sim should have smaller, not like super skinny, but just like smaller shaped. But I don't want pouty, which is what like most of these are. Oh my god, this is starting to give Tim Burton vibes a little bit. Let's not go there. Not for this sim. Okay. This is kind of cute. Then do like a super tiny nose. Yeah, I think this gives like fairy face vibes. But then I don't know what in the world I want to do for hair. I'm thinking almost a super long hair. Because most of the other Sims have like short hair. So what if we gave her like long pretty hair? Or I guess not short hair, but put up hair. Like they're put up. Oh, but this is cute. This is, I mean, it's technically a long hair, but this is totally fairy vibes, right? Like, I feel like this gives fairy vibes. I'm trying to make sure we have the color hair we want. We could go with this color hair, but I think like, the gray is more her color. So let's give her this hair, and then I want to give her some eyelashes. I'm really just thinking top eyelashes for her. I think actually I'm kind of obsessed with the bottom lashes. Well, what if do we want to do the colorful eyelashes, or just like, I think the Love Struck eyelashes kind of win here in this situation. Yeah, I'm kind of obsessed. I'm obsessed with that. Okay. And then I want to do a cute eye makeup look. I'm almost thinking we base it around these sparkles, because we could get these sparkles and like, should we do blue? I'm thinking like blue. Let's maybe almost do a galaxy vibe. So we could do like the blue, the purple and pink colors. And we could also do the all white. That's also kind of the right vibe. Yeah, maybe we do that. We'll do that. And then that means we can, for the eyeshadows, do like almost silvery eyeshadow maybe. We also do like a light blue, a light purple. I'm just trying to give slight... Ooh, wait, we literally have the fairy looking makeup that's purple and gray with the white dots. There's also a blue version. Ooh, the blue. That kind of is perfect. Wait, no, that's actually perfect. And then pair it with a funky eyeliner. Let's see, not like, I don't know if like necessarily when I say funky, I mean colored necessarily, but like maybe like funky shaped. I like the white in this shape. That's nice. That gives kind of the fairy look I'm going for. But since she has the face makeup on, I am going to have to give her the shininess in the skin details. Or skin effects, I guess. So let's give her the shiny skin effects. So I feel like she would have shiny skin. Like, this just seems like a shiny skin gal. And then what if, like, for the lips, we did, like, almost early 2000 vibes with, like, a, like, bright white lip or something. Oh, maybe that's a little too bright white. That has gray on the top. That's kind of weird. Let's see. Do we have a good white lip? I mean, we have a purple. That's not exactly what I was going for. I was wanting more like, yeah, like that maybe. This MAC lip could work. Let's see. That's too pink. I don't want it to have pink in it, which is what most of them are going to have, honestly. Let's see. That's actually works. Alright, so we have that base game lip. Do we want to do a cheek? Because I feel like we could do like super pale on the like MAC or something. Yeah, something like that would be cute. We also have like this. Or no, that's not gonna work. Yeah, I think either this or this. You know what? I'm thinking this. I know the other one looks more fun and crazy, but I almost think the more natural, like, highlighter is good for her, since we already have the shiny skin. So I think that's good for makeup. So let's just go through and put that in all her categories. There we go. Bam, boom, bam. Thank you, ma'am. Also do the skin effects in every category. There we go. And honestly, I just noticed we can't really see her ears. I want her to have cute small ears, but I also want to be able to see them through the hair. So I'm just going to make them a little bit bigger so we can kind of see them through the hair. Okay, they're definitely bigger than I want, but it's fine. So there we go. God, it's giving corpse vibes. Look, like if ChezPride was a fairy. If ChezPride was a fairy. Okay. Well, how do we want to accessorize this then? Because I'm almost thinking maybe like sparkly tights. We have those. I'm thinking specifically of these. Since we're already using the Spooky Day stuff pack, we could go with like sparkly blue tights. There's also like a sparkly white tight, but I'm thinking the blue kind of blends in their skin. There's also a dark blue, which I'm honestly, I know we've been trying to go with like dark or lighter colors, but I'm thinking the dress is dark blue. We could tie in some more dark blue that way. I kind of love it. And then, let's see, do we want to go with the fairy boot? Because it doesn't really come, well, it comes in a dark blue. It does come in white. We could do the white fairy boots, I guess. And then, let's give her some nails. Because all the other Sims have nails. So she should too. Maybe like some of the wedding nails. That's actually kind of perfect. Okay, let's go with the wedding nails and bracelets. Let's see. Do we want... Yeah, 'cause I feel like we have to give a bracelet because the gloves would go on both hands and this outfit has this on this arm. So we want to try to go with something like on this arm. Where is the... Of course... Well, I guess this one can be layered with this. Oh, that kind of works. Okay. And then we can focus on... Or do we want to do this one? This one is almost more fairy vibes. Oh my goodness. This or this. I don't know. I feel like I always use this one. So maybe we should take this chance to use this one. And this. I don't know what to do on this arm. Because I want something. But not this. We go with, does this come in like, well, the something. I don't know if I love it. We could go with like this, since we're going with the sparkly space makeup. We could go with like a sun and moon bracelet. It's kind of cute. Maybe we can have a couple of rings just on this hand. So we could do like the moon and perhaps like maybe like this. Oh, that takes away the moon. What's one that's not going to take away the moon on this hand? I guess, let's see. I'm trying to find the right hand. I guess this butterfly ring would be fitting. We're doing all silver. That's cute. That's cute. Okay, so just a couple of rings on that hand. Maybe just like one ring on this hand. I almost want to do like, nope, not that. Okay, let's perhaps go with what we want to do on this hand. There's not a lot of options. There's this. I guess this works. Okay, so we can do that and that. So that kind of gives her some accessories on the hand. Make sure to go through and put all of these accessories on all of her categories, especially the leggings. Make sure the shoes are in every category. And I think with that, that is probably our blue fairy done. She also kind of looks like a freaking Blue Diamond. Just a little bit. Like a happier version of Blue Diamond. I don't know. But let's go ahead and give her a name. Cecilia? I actually kind of like Cecilia. I mean, all of the other names end with an A. So, it would kind of be fitting in the name. Okay. So, for our final results of our fudged fairies, we have our non-occult fairy, Emila, who's like our green, earthy fairy, which she is super cutesy. I'm obsessed with her. And then we have our evil vampire fairy, Athena. And as you can tell, quite scary looking. And then we have our blue fairy. Why did her eyes change back? What? Wait, why? Why did your eyes change? Wait, did your eyes change? No, your eyes are the same. That is so weird. You guys saw that, right? It's like I just switched the sim and the eyes changed. Is that a new glitch or itch since they did these 2 emergency patches we're about to talk about? Or is that something that's been going on I haven't noticed? I know that was the thing with hair colors for a while, but they fixed that. Is it just going on with eyes now? No. Well, I guess that's a perfect segue into moving and talking about the newest 2 patch updates that have come, that are emergency patch updates in the last week. So there's a few different articles that we are going to be looking at today, considering there was a couple of different emergency patches that came out in the last week. And when I'm talking about the patches we are going to be talking about in this video, I'm not talking about the patch update that came before Enchanted by Nature, that came with like the glass walls and the big update. I already made a whole video over that. This video is about the 2 emergency patches that came out after that, that's fixing one stuff that was already broken and some other stuff that broke when that big patch came out, because they can't patch the game and fix stuff without other stuff breaking. And this time, some pretty big stuff broke. But all the articles that we are going to be looking at today are on EA's website, which is just ea.com. And this is /game/thesims/thesims4/news. And then, of course, there's a couple of different articles that we're looking at. But if you're looking for direct links, they do post them on their social medias, but most of the time they don't talk about the patch notes unless it's just like a super big important patch note. They typically don't post the links for the patch note updates, except for on their second Twitter page, which is the Sims Communications Twitter page. So if you're ever looking for a direct link to patch notes, they're typically there, but they're typically always on the EA website. So I know I said these are just small emergency patches. They aren't the big patches that are going to break every single mod that's ever come out to today's time. But I do always say if it's not an XDS drop, it's better to be safe than sorry. So I would say go ahead and back up your save files or at least remove your mods. I just put my mods in a folder on my desktop until I have given the modders a day or two to make sure that they have updated the mods or not. And like I said, this is just a small emergency patch, so I don't know how many mods it will actually break, but considering that a lot of these are big fixes to big glitches such as the pregnancy glitch, I would assume some mods are going to break, like MC Command Center or maybe pregnancy mods that have updated since the break. So just be aware that you might want to save your files and back them up and whatnot before you update your game if you haven't already updated your game. But with that being said, there are 3 articles I want to go over with you guys today, and the first one is going to be the emergency patch that came out the same day as Enchanted by Nature on July 10th. And this one has most of the bug fixes, and it has some pretty big ones, including the live drag, which I was so thankful for. So like I said, this came out June 10th, 2025, and it says, Soul Simmers, today's update covers a handful of bug fixes and improvement. Thank you for your support, and it gives a link to the EA forums where you can report different bug fixes. But literally, there is, 5, 6, 7 bug fixes here. And I will go ahead and tell you now, none of these fixes have to do with For Rent. Or Lovestruck. There's no Lovestruck or For Rent fixes in any of these these bug fixes, which is unfortunate because those are 2 of the glitchiest packs that come out recently. But at least they're fixing the one that came out recently. I don't know. I was just really hoping to at least see the For Rent safe corruption file fix, but they have announced that they are working on it. They just still haven't put out a fix for it. But as far as base game and multi-pack, the first one is the ability to drag spoiled items from object and sim inventories to the trash or sinks has been restored. Thank God, this has been annoying the living hell out of me. It's actually made me not want to play my game some. I've been playing it less, specifically because of this glitch. Also the pregnancy glitch, but specifically because of this glitch, it was really annoying. And then they also, with the business and hobbies pack, fixed the sharing is caring whiteboard. It can be placed again. I showed that glitch off in one of my last business and hobbies reviews that I put out recently because I was going to use the whiteboard, and of course it stopped working a few days before I decided to use it, so didn't get to use it, but at least it's fixed now. They fixed that one. Gnomes have stopped constantly wiggling, jumping, or shaking after being placed from build mode, which was also another glitch I showed off because I was having that glitch in my Grim Sim series. So glad to see that because that was a little creepy. I thought it was on purpose, so I'm glad it wasn't because it was creepy. Plants will keep their name and information when placing a lot with garden plants from the gallery. So with the Enchanted by Nature pack, you got the ability to name plants. So apparently now they will keep their names because apparently they weren't doing it before. And the last one here, it says household members that have custom painting that are placed via managed household no longer use their texture when you switch to that household. This includes cats, dogs, horses, werewolf, fairies, and regular sims. So pretty much if you were painting on your sim and create a sim, it broke. It didn't work. And that's because we got a I wouldn't call it an update, but they pretty much made it to where we could use the same Create Sim draw paint mode for fairy wings. So I guess when they added the ability for it to do fairy wings, it just broke the whole thing, which is fun. And then they say it was a base game / multi-pack. So and I don't understand why they didn't just put them under packs when they literally made a whole one for just seasons, but whatever. But in seasons, seed packets from the gnomes now can go in your Sims inventory with the put in inventory interaction, which is good because we also weren't able to drag them to our inventory. So we can now have seeds be put in our inventory. Though I wish they would just make it where the gnomes put out less seeds in general, but that's just another thing that maybe is not that important, but it's super annoying. And then we do have one from console, as we have addressed a stability issue introduced in a prior update on consoles. We will continue to monitor closely. So that is if you have console, not PC. So that is all that came with the July 10th patch, which covers a lot of things. It doesn't cover like For Rent or Love Struck, but it also didn't cover pregnancy. So the emergency patch that came out in the last 24 hours is still today for me, but by the time I get this video up, it'll be tomorrow technically in my time zone. So the patch we've had in the last 24 hours is literally just one patch update, and that is the Sims pregnancy fixes. So it says, Soul Simmers, today's update will fix the recent issues seen with Sims pregnancy introduced on July 1st. And the issues were related to performing optimizations and now have been reverted to resolve the issue reported. Any Sim pregnancy related mods should return to their pre-updated functionality, though you should still check with the specific mod authors updates. So yeah, they're pretty much saying if it was updated after July 1st, it probably will have to be updated again. But literally it just says the bug fix is pregnancy will work as it did prior to the base game patch. So that's all it says. It doesn't say specifically how it fixes it. It just says it's going to go back to normal. So that is all the bug fixes that we've had in the emergency patch. Not as many as there could have been, but I'll take what I can get. These were definitely all important ones. But there was one more article that they put out, which I noticed when I went to go pull up these two articles. And basically, tomorrow, I guess the day I'm posting this actually, because the day I'm posting this will be the 17th. So today, there's going to be a live stream for Enchanted by Nature. And they normally do these live streams like before the pack comes out. So we all thought it was kind of weird that they said they were going to be doing the live stream after the pack came out. And I don't do videos on the live streams like I do the trailers, but I do watch them. And I think I figured out why they decided to delay it till after Enchanted by Nature came out. And that's because they're having a pretty big guest. Now, Sims have had big guests in the past. Most of the guests I knew were more like Sims 3 era, like Katy Perry, MCR, stuff like that. That was kind of like more people I knew. Sims 4 has had people. I mean, granted, they did have like a couple people perform songs that I knew, but most of the people that performed songs, like in those private concerts, I didn't really know. And most of the people they've had on like live streams or stuff like that, I haven't personally really known. It's mainly been people that I really don't know. Maybe just because most of my childhood was spent in the early 2000s is why I know this one. And even with like the people that perform music, it's just like it wasn't people I wanted to go see. But this person that they're having on the live stream is actually someone I know, and it's not like it's someone I'm a fan of, but I do know their songs because, like I said, I grew up in the early 2000s. I was born in the 90s, but I grew up in the early 2000s, and that is T-Pain is joining the stream, which I would not have guessed he was a simmer. I think this is hilarious. The fact that he's coming in on the Fairy stream is great to me. I love this. But this was announced the 15th, and it says, Fairies have officially fluttered into The Sims 4, leaving us all sprung on in a screen. It's even got T-Pain doing things he never done, like host a live stream for The Sims. That's right, Simmers. Let's talk Fairies. I talk like that. Come spread your wings and dive into He Was a Fairy in The Sims live stream on the 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard. So it's actually late in the day. Normally I'm in Eastern Standard Time, and normally these live streams are like either at 11 or at like 2, and this is like at 8 p.m. That's insane. Okay. With Grammy Award-winning artist and longtime simmer T-Pain, along with content creator and simmer It's Me Troy, which I already have heard the name, but I don't know where I've heard that name before. But I have heard the name It's Me Troy. So, and apparently T-Pain is going to be sharing some special news with us because they put that at the end too. So it says, during the live stream, we will explore the new world of Inniscreen and all that nature has to offer in The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature, and T-Pain will also show off his fairy sim, which will be available to players in The Sims 4 gallery immediately following the live stream. But that's not the only surprise he has in store. So I think this is supposed to be his fairy form, which is hilarious. I don't know. I love this. This is hilarious to me. I'm just glad they're finally having someone and represent The Sims 4 that I actually know who is. Like, he's not the very first one I know who is, but still, like, most of them I normally don't have any clue. And that, I don't know if that's me being dumb and uncultured, or if it's just me being older than a lot of The Sims people that are with the current up-to-date people. I don't know. But that is pretty much all I wanted to talk about in this video. So I hope you enjoyed my last attempt at making fake fairies with the Spooky Day stuff pack and different occult types. But like I said, there will be plenty of actual fairy content coming out soon. I just didn't have the money to buy the pack yet. That's my bad. I should have saved better. But I will be buying it soon. I just have one more video to put out before that, and that is me playing through the last 2 weeks of the current base game event going on right now. So make sure to stick around for that. But hopefully you enjoyed me making fake fairies and talking about these patch notes, because I try to keep you guys informed even if I'm a little late on the news. But anyway, guys, I'm going to end this one here. So thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and do all that awesome stuff, because you guys are awesome people. I'll see you next time. All right,